Hello gamers, this is Brain from GameBrain.media. We're going to talk a little bit about Baldur's Gate 3. I just started playing the game, and I'm here to tell you why I love it and why I hate it. Okay, I hate to be cliche, but I really must say, 100% buy this game. 100%. I am 100% in favor of buying this game. Okay, so is that a qualified review? No. And I'm not going to do a qualified review of breaking things down. I just want to get the dumbasses out of the way who only want to watch a video for like 30 seconds. Okay? So then now that those guys are gone, we can talk about some serious shit. All right, I just started the final act, which is Act 3. Right? There's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. It's a structured story. It's very, 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 very good. I'm about 38 hours into the game, and I am at a loss for words. Yeah, imagine that. I never shut up, dude, but this game has me flummoxed. It is so good. And as usual in most of my, what do you call it? I sometimes do a retrospective, but that's after I've actually finished the whole game. Here, I'm just doing an introduction or a holy cow, I love this game. I'm going to play more. And, I'll make more videos if anybody likes this one, if anybody subscribes as a result of this video. Otherwise, really, this game's been around a while, and there's tons and tons and tons of content. So you really aren't going to need me to tell you how to play or anything. There's tons of walkthroughs, there's wikis, there's IGN walkthrough, which is pretty well organized. The wiki is kind of sporadic, or just, it's a wiki. It's not like linear or mission-based or quest-based, in my experience. You can look up Father Logan, but it doesn't really give you a drill. You got to go here and do this, and then do this, and then do this, and then do this. If you get lost along the way, I only like to use those types of tools if I get lost along the way. I want a hint, like, I'm going to use the word again. I'm flummoxed. Where do I go? What do I do? How do I get there? Then I will resort to a walkthrough, and I want as few spoilers as possible. And I'm not going to give you any spoilers here, but I am going to show you some things. But anyway, as is common for my videos, when I do an introduction to a specific game or even a retrospective, I will cover the fact that, how long is this game going to entertain me for? Right? If I'm buying a DVD set and it's 72 hours of programming, man, $72 is pretty steep. So I want it to be less than $1 an hour, right? I want it to be like $35 because I'm a cheap old guy. And you can see at the bottom of the screen, it's been on sale for $45. But on Steam, its full retail price is $59. But you're going to get 72 hours of gameplay out of that. So that fits for me. $45 for this, it's not quite 50 cents an hour for an epic or for a big chunk of money kind of game. But, 72 hours is a lot of gaming. And another thing I usually look at is there any deal? Sometimes you'll find that the game has been on sale for redonkulous discounts, all the way down to $4 or $5. Not this particular game. I mean games historically, right? So any game I buy, I look at how many hours of gaming am I getting out of this. Then I go look at what's the price been, and how likely is it for that price to come back. If it's a Christmas price or a summertime price, you can figure out. Yeah, it'll probably come back around, or you might have to wait till the next release. That's how I buy a lot of games, and I don't want to get bogged down into how I buy games. That's going to be, or that is, another video that might already exist. I don't know. So anyway, Baldur's Gate never showed up on CD Keys, which has been rebranded to Loaded.com. You can buy CD Keys. What they do is they approach publishers, game publishers, right? If you're familiar, there's a game developer. Then there's a bunch of people who work for the game developer, like 3D object creators, designers, writers, voice people, blah, blah, blah. Then there's a company that just publishes what the developer made. The developer puts out a package. The publisher does all the marketing and sales. And they pushed that crap out to different game platforms like Xbox and PlayStation and Steam and Epic and EA and Ubi. Well, like a lot, Epic and Ubi, Ubi and EA they are the publishing company, so they've created their own stores so that they don't have to pay 30% commissions to Steam because gaming is a big convoluted cluster. Anyway, back to Baldur's Gate. Loaded, formerly CD Keys, tries to buy a bulk package of keys, and they get a mixture of keys for Xbox and Steam, and then they sell them. I don't think they probably ever got a single key for this game because it's too new. Eventually, when this game gets older and the developer decides or the publisher decides they want to make more money, they will start selling bulk keys, CD keys, to, back in the day, video games used to be installed off of floppy disks and then CDs and then DVDs, and then they're all digitally distributed now. So anyway, blah 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 blah. The game's never hit this platform, but it is one of my favorites. I have over 30, maybe even 40 games from CD Keys because they are consistently one of the best prices. That's why I'm beating this dead horse. All right, let's move on. Whoa! This game is heavenly and angelic, and that girl is scary. Yeah. Oh man, the game is absolutely phenomenally beautiful, guys. That's why I am so in love with this. I mean, I just want to sit back and be entertained. There's a lot of cutscenes. There's a lot of story. There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of blah 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 blah. And bro, that fits me. The blah 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 blah. I talk a lot, and I don't mind a game that talks a lot. Sometimes I get a little impatient, and I'll talk more about that in the next couple of slides. So here we go. We were talking to one of the main characters in Act 2 named Isabel. There's no spoilers here. It's just a conversation. All right. So if you're not familiar or super familiar with RPGs, the red-haired girl here is Faye, a red-headed freckled girl that I'm familiar with, and I made her this character. She doesn't exist in real life, so let's just let that go. But anyway, Isabel, baby. Isabel's she's something else too. Behind me then is Shadowheart, the black-haired girl, in the bloody, blood-splattered armor. Yeah, she's a badass. Just such a great game. But what I'm getting at is, if you're unfamiliar with RPGs, I've created this red-haired character, and I've given her specific attributes of strength, magic, influence, confidence, charisma, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. We're going to cover that coming up in different slides. But what I've learned is 9 times out of 10, in the majority of RPGs, you ask the first question first. Now, in The Witcher 3, that didn't seem to be the way. So I would usually ask the bottom question first, because if you ask the number one question first, that just throws you into the action. Or it skips everything underneath it. So there's a couple different ways to play RPGs, or you need to understand how that RPG is specifically structured. So here, I've realized that if you go through and you act upon item number 1 in most conversations, as I understand it, they refer to that as the honor walk, or the honor system, where you're trying to finish the game with the most points in your category of being an honorable, upright character. If you go to the bottom one in this game, particularly, the bottom item is I don't want to talk to this character. Kill him. Right? So you at the very top of the list is good, at the bottom of the list is evil, and everything else in between is situational ethics. Let's say that. So anyway, yeah. I mean, isn't my character just absolutely gorgeous? I think a drogue. can't remember what my character race is called, but we're going to cover that one too, dude. Stick around. Towards the end, I'm going to give you a bunch of links to some really good stuff about this game and how to go about creating your character and distributing your points and all the BS. So, from this beautiful girl, and this beautiful girl that I'm talking to, I become this beautiful girl. Or this angry girl. Look at the face. Dude, the girl behind me too. All of us are pissed except white-haired girl. Oh, man. And we're talking to somebody we do not like. And the three of us on the left are absolutely showing our distaste. Isabel, however, the white-haired girl. I'm not going to give any spoilers. It's a trip. It's a trip. This game has been a trip, dude. So bizarre. You start off flying, well, you don't even realize you're flying. You start off and you're in some organic spaceship. It's like being in the belly of a whale that is filled with technology and computers and life support. What do they call that crap when you freeze somebody and go through space? Cryogenic storage in a pod. It's just like, what? How do they have computers that are actually organic and these metal pods to trap people? And that's the opening scene. Is you're inside it seems like the belly of a whale that is filled with organisms and metallic pods for life support of human-like beings. But you can see the girl, third from the left, Lizelle. She's not human. In fact, my character, the second from the left, she's not human. The red-haired, not human. I don't know if I'm not an elf. I'm not a halfling. Whatever. That's coming soon. Coming soon. Dude, I'm telling you, game is so awesome. The game is a trip. Look how pretty everything is. The detail. Now, clearly, I've pimped out my armor at this point. You start off in less fancy clothes with less fancy weps. But, man, can you tell? I'm a freaking fanboy. 100%. Oh, gosh, I said it again. All right, so now here, the conversation continues. Every time you encounter someone, you're going to have this lengthy conversation. And here's something that I'm going to make a video on in the future about being a mood gamer or an impulsive gamer, a completionist gamer, a spontaneous gamer, an obsessive compulsive gamer, and things like that. That's coming in a future video. But what I want to say here is that, we're looking at partially replayability. Because if I go through here and I always choose number one as my first dialogue option when I meet a new character in the game, versus screw you, I'm moving on, right? And that usually comes at the bottom of the conversation list. At the bottom of this particular list, you have the option to just leave the conversation. You don't even have to talk to the person. But there's periods of time where you're talking to someone and periods of time when you're not. And going back to the mood gamer, spontaneous gamer, impulsive gamer, obsessive compulsive, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, okay. So there are times when I get impatient with this conversation process. It's too cumbersome. It's too frequent in this game. But you have to have all of this backstory. So there are a lot of cutscenes. And I quite often will shortcut that by pressing the space bar and skipping it, right? Shadowheart says, she took flight to the blah, blah, blah. She took flight to hunt down Ketheric Thorm. All I can do is hasten his demise and hope that answers soon follow. Okay, I was able to read that, like speed read or just sight read an entire paragraph. I consumed that mentally without having to wait for the entirety of the voice actor to give me the accent and make it sound like... That's not my impression of Shadowheart, but right, you get me? Like when you're listening to an actor do voice acting for an animated character, it can get kind of cumbersome and slow and boring. So I've already read the whole damn sentence. I understand it, or I've sight read the block of text, and I get it. All right, she took flight. Ketherick, answers follow. Bam, 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 speed read. And then I get really impatient, and I click that space bar, and I blow through some of the dialogue. And then later, it's like, man, I feel like I'm missing something. And then I have to look at my journal, and I have to look at my quest, and I have to figure out where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? But, I mean, this isn't a perfect example of that. Let's look at the next slide. Yeah, okay. So, we're just having a conversation with our friend Shadowheart, and I just want to call attention to how beautiful Faye is. What a freaking little gorgeous, weird, elfy, red-haired girl with freckles. Delicious. And I always play games as a girl. I'd rather look at her ass when I'm following third person through an imaginary world than look at some dude, And there's Shadowheart. Oh man, this girl's a trip, dude. You're gonna have to fool around, find out, play the game, and get to know Shadowheart, because you will come to love her, and or despise her, because that's what this game's all about. It's a game of love and hate. There's so many things about the game that I love, and so many things that I don't want to really use that word. Apparently, YouTube has AI, creating the subtitles for your game, and if you use specific words, they will tag your video and depress that. They will suppress that. They will remove it from ranking. They won't show it to people because it includes words that are objectionable. All right, so there's that. Anyway, look at the expressions, man. I'm telling you, I've wanted this for a long time. I have a neutral look on my face, and then it's like, really, what? Such a game, dude. All right. All of the cutscenes and exposition and dialogue stuff is in there. But for the most part, you're going to be living on a screen like this, where over here on the far left, you can switch between any of these characters, like using hotkeys, F1, F2, F3, F4. That switches you through character at the top, then F2, F3, F4 going down. That's your quick keyboard keys for those character switching. Here we are in camp. We've already had a rest. Our sleeping bags are not rolled out. We're ready to leave camp. But I wanted to show you the busyness of that bottom panel. And to tell you the truth, I have hardly used it. But over here, I think this is very, very important, is this plus and minus, plus and minus. You can click plus twice, right? Click plus twice. And instead of 2 rows showing, you have 4 rows showing. However, that takes up about the bottom quarter of the center of your screen. There's just TMI, too much information here. You can also switch between these bottom buttons and only display the common elements. See, I have all things showing. But you can switch to common, your strengths as a cleric, or if you were a bard, that would probably say bard. If you were some other, like, I don't know what they call them, class. I think it's called class. If you were another class, then your class strengths would be displayed there. And then you click items, and it will only show you items instead of all the burden of all the things, dude. And you're constantly micromanaging inventory until I just went ahead and got some cheats. So I'll tell you about that coming up. For now, I want to mention that this game is based upon Dungeons and Dragons, and if you're like me, here you are entering this world, it's got some history because it's Baldur's Gate 3. It's the third version of the game. It's been around for a version 1 and a version 2, but dude, those are very, very old, and I will link videos to explanations of those things, those events, those people that are only remotely relevant in Baldur's Gate 3. They did a pretty good severing of leaving the past behind and moving forward, but dragging along a couple of anchors that you can't get rid of because they're part of the lore. Oh, we're going to talk about that coming up too, is books and lore, and reading every frickin' note you get. And well, let's just talk about it now. I previously mentioned that you can get bogged down, or you need to have some patience. You need to have time. I don't jump into this game and play for 30 minutes. It's not like a Counter-Strike gun game or arms race. It's not Call of Duty. It's not anything like that. I need to have 2 hours blocked out to sit down, play this game, and really enjoy the moment. Because, like I said, the cutscenes are phenomenal. The scenery is phenomenal. The conversations are tedious, but expository, necessary. You need to learn some of the background. However, there's a bunch of books that show up on library shelves, and I don't read any of them. There are people who play these games, and they read every bit of the lore. They read every book. They sit down and game for 4 hours per session. My minimum, I need to block out I need to have 2 hours of available time to say, I'm going to play this game. But that's me. You might be able to jump in for an hour and get far enough and, okay, I've had enough. That's what I'm saying. It can be overwhelming. It can be like, whoa, too much is too much. It's like watching a 1 hour long TV drama. Or when I jump in, I'm going to try to be immersed and absorbed into the world that's here. It's like jumping in to a theater seat and watching a 2 hour movie. Except when I jump into a theater seat to watch a 2 hour movie, I fall asleep in 15 or 20 minutes, and I miss the entire movie. At least with games, you're clicking, you're interacting, you're fighting, you're doing things, you're swinging a sword, or you're shooting pistols, right? So anyway, going back to the Dungeons & Dragons, this is the origin of this game, is the game Dungeons & Dragons, which I would describe as a tabletop paper game. You sit around a kitchen table, you probably have 5 people. One of the people is holding a book, and he begins to read an introductory paragraph about the world you're entering, or the world you exist in, and the recent events, and you are standing at the opening of a volcano, and you need to make the choice, or you're standing at the foot of a mountain where there's a cave, or you're standing on the beach, and you have to cross a river along the beach and enter a door that's got steel bars on it, or right. They set the scene. There's a prefix or a preceding expository paragraph of a story to establish your world, and then where you are, and the choices are laid before you. The other 4 people, that's the dungeon master. That's the guy reading the book. And he will get you to a point, and then he'll roll a dice. And it's one character, or maybe the character rolls a dice. But the characters have already filled out a piece of paper called a character sheet. And they have selected, they took I'm just going to use round numbers. They maybe took 100 points and distributed them between strength, dexterity, magic, and blah, blah, blah. A couple other categories, and said, I want to put 10 points in everything. Oh, well, now I still have 80 points left, or 40 points left over. So now you start overburdening your character in the magic area or the strength area if you want to have a fighter guy or a magic guy, sorcerer guy, a healer guy, a doctor and nurse guy, whatever. I don't know, man. I've never played the game. My kids did. I got the concept. Okay, here's some kid reading out of a book, and then the other kids have a piece of paper, and they write a bunch of things down. Then they roll a dice, and then he says, okay, you chose to do this. This is going to affect your other players this way. Everybody gets 3 points in this area of dexterity, or everybody gets to add, I don't know, it wasn't there, but this guy explains it pretty well, and I didn't memorize his 5-minute video, but he does an extremely good job of giving you the ultimate origin of Baldur's Gate, because the game came after D&D. D&D's been around for 50 years, I think. I think they've had a 50-year anniversary, or maybe they're just that they're in their 5th edition. My kids were playing it when they were maybe 15 years old, so at least 20 years ago, 15 or 20 years ago. And I don't know what version they were playing or what edition. But anyway, yeah, this is where it all started. And I highly recommend this video. I'll try to remember to link and pin that in the comment section below this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Yabba dabba do. All right, now we're going to talk about the game. I asked AI, hey man, give me an outline. Give me some talking points about this game. Well, okay. It did. The gameplay is turn-based combat, and that really kind of is weird. If you're a first-person shooter, you're a race car driver, you're a superhero game player, turn-based combat is weird. You're not going to like it. I don't like it. It's really bizarre, as is the isometric camera. Now, I played Diablo 1, Diablo 2, World of Warcraft Originals. What's the spaceship one? StarCraft, yeah. And then there was another 3D top-down dungeon crawler type thing, or well, similar. Anyway, the isometric 3D down view is kind of disorienting if you're a first-person shooter or even a third-person role-playing game. This is weird. Anyway, so is turn-based combat. Eventually in the game, I resorted to cheats, and you don't get to play in first person, but you can zoom in, so you're a lot closer to the action. But it really doesn't matter. Zoomed out is a lot easier to manage. The camera's really wonky. You're going to be on that WSAD key to move your camera around all the time. Character only moves when you click the mouse button and say go here, or you click and hold the mouse button and then you lead them like it's a mouse following a piece of cheese you're dragging through the woods or through the dungeon. So anyway, it's very bizarre, the turn-based combat system, and it's something to get used to. I mean, Witcher 3 was an RPG, but it's a third-person RPG. Skyrim, third-person RPG, but if you roll your mouse in far enough, it's a first-person RPG. I'm pretty sure. All right, let's get ready to move on here. All right, so turn-based combat, funky. Party system, well, that's interesting. It's like I described the tabletop game. You have the dungeon master who's going to narrate introductions to scenarios, and then you have 4 people sitting at the table with their little character sheets that they've created unique characters, and the game can be played multiplayer and co-op with players around the world. But how in the hell are you going to coordinate such a grand adventure with so many people, or with 4 people? Maybe if you all live in Indiana, or you all live in the same state, or you all live in the same time zone, let's say that. Because if you're in different worlds or different countries and time zones, it's going to be pretty tough to get 4 people together to go on this adventure. However, there are people who play D&D in real life, and they show up at a comic book store or whatever, game store, and there's a couple tables in the back, and they get to hang out and meet their friends there, and but that's in a real life kind of thing. So anyway, the party system is quite interesting because I have 3 additional characters. I play a main character, and I have 3 tag-alongs that are freaking awesome, and I can switch to them and I can play them, and they have their individual personalities and quests, their own personal missions and vendettas. Oh man, it's a great game, dude. I'm telling you, it's so multifaceted and intricate. All right, dialogue choices and consequences. We've already talked about that when I was talking about, if you pick one, you're a good guy. If you pick the bottom, you're probably going to hurt people, or you're going to steal stuff. You're going to get in a lot of fights. You're going to become wanted. You're going to have to pay ransoms, or what else is called now. If there's a price on your head. You know what I'm talking about. So character customization is incredible. I skipped that. Character customization, you get to choose between race, class, background, and all kinds of other stuff. And I have that green tag there because I will link a video where this guy is essentially just giving you the 10,000 foot perspective. Hey man, you can choose a race, doesn't matter what you choose. You can choose a class, doesn't matter what you choose. You can choose a background, doesn't matter what you choose. You all have the same number of points to distribute between different groupings of character functionality or character abilities. So you could be very dexterous and coordinated. You could be very strong. Or you could be a skinny little waif and be slinging mad power because you're a magician or you're a sorcerer or you're a witch or I don't know. I don't know what exact numbers, names, and things they call these people, races, classes, backgrounds. And it goes into far more minutia. But that guy ultimately is going to tell you what I'm telling you, but I mean, he does it in a much more direct, less spastic way. Fool around and find out. You know, look at create something that looks appealing to you. Create a character in the character customization scenario that looks good, that you want to follow around, that you're going to be stuck with for 50 to 70 hours, right? 70 hours. And then go for it. Fool around and find out. Because, we're going to talk about this later, there's a guy in the game. I know a guy. He can help you out with that. It's like in the game Mafia, the Mafia game series. I know a guy. But there's a guy in the game that will help you change your character. Now, you can't change race, class, and background. You can change a lot of the other elements, though, but you're going to have to pay him 100 gold. And I don't think you can do it. I don't know if there are limitations on how frequently you can do it. So anyway, I know a guy. Dialogue choices and consequences we talked about. You can be a good guy, play the honor guy, play an honor role, or you can be an evil bastard, thief, murderer. And I plan to try that again. I plan to play this game again, doing exactly that. I'm going through this time. I always play the superhero. I always play the good guy. I always play an honorable man because that's who I am. That's where my heart is. That's my reality. But I also cheat. So crafting and inventory management is so tedious to me. I hate it so much. I always go get a cheat or a mod if it's available to remove the weight restriction. Oh, you're overly encumbered, or you're encumbered, whatever. Your movement is reduced because you are encumbered. You're carrying too much crap. But I'm a hoarder, dude. In a game, I'm a hoarder because they force you to do that. You have to do that. I really hate crafting. I don't look to make recipes or magic spells or combine chemicals or that's not my vibe. I really played the game hoping for more combat. That's why the turn-based combat thing really irks me. But the fact that we have a great story going on, we have incredible quality graphics and characters. The lip sync, I don't stare at somebody's lips while they're speaking, but it's close enough. It's not exactly precise. They don't look like freaking absolute copycats of a human. I'm not in it for that. I'm willing to suspend disbelief and look at the screen as if I am that person. And that's the person I'm speaking to. And, become immersed. And that's what this game is about, dude. When you have the time and you aren't motivated to just push through, I need the next goal. I need the next goal. Go explore the world. Take your time, relax. Realize that it's an amazing adventure. I don't think I've made it clear yet. This game is great. 100% recommend. Buy it. You'll love it. You can replay it over and over because you can play good guy. You can play bad guy. But if I haven't made that point clear, let me say it again. No, I won't say it again. But dude, okay, so that's it. I use a product called WeMod.com. I have scanned the exe with Avast antivirus, anti-malware bytes, super anti-spyware, and spybot search and destroy. I've also, asked AI about negative experiences with WeMod.com recently, but I've been using it, wow, really long time for some games when I get stuck, and it doesn't support 90% of games or 80% of the games out there. It only supports a handful of games, but you can automatically turn on cheats. It's so convenient. You press a couple of hotkeys, and bam, bam, you're in God mode. Like I used this back in Skyrim because I just wanted to press. Oh no, that was a mod. So see, there's a difference between mods and cheats. So the company's name and the piece of software that you download is called WeMod.com, but it really should be called WeCheat, right? Because all it does is enable God mode or fly mode or unlimited ammo or never have to reload or open all portals for fast travel. So it's cheats. It's not mods. A mod, in my mind, is they took my AK-47 and they made it into an AK-47 with a grenade launcher on it. That's not available in the game. That's not something that you can just type in, a code and unlock as a part of the game. It's an add-on that you have to download and put in a specific folder inside your gaming folder, right? Mods and cheats are very different. Let's talk about Skyrim and Nexus Mods. Nexus Mods has a product called Vortex. It's a free piece of software you can download, and then you can go to Nexus Mods and add mods like a whole different character. You can add, in the Lara Croft game, you can turn Lara Croft to be Conan the Barbarian. Maybe not that specific thing, but you could play a game like Tomb Raider and replace your character model with a totally different character model. Or you can make Lara Croft play the game butt naked. You can remove all her clothes. You can put on custom modifications or downloaded clothing. You can give her a sword instead of a gun. Like there's all kinds. That's a mod, which is very, very different. And those can be managed through, like I said, Nexus Mods, and the software they offer is called Vortex. And I also play Elder Scrolls Online. Elder Scrolls Online is fantastic. It's part of the Skyrim, Oblivion, Elder Scrolls world RPG things. They're all RPG games. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah. For ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, there is a piece of software called Minion, Minion, Minion. And Minion allows you to download mods, and both Vortex from Nexus Mods and Minion, while they serve different games, right? They are useful because they will automatically download and update the mods you've chosen. So you need to learn how to use those, and there's tons of tutorials on YouTube for that. And like I said, I just want to make it clear, I'm using WeMod so I can get through this game and then play it again. I'm serious. I won't be playing it again back to back, but dude, having not been making one video a month, that's enough for me. Nobody cares about a walkthrough and honestly, I guarantee you that I won't get more than one single like, because I have one single friend on YouTube who always clicks like on my video because he supports me and he's a friend. He's a nice guy, right? Good guy. I doubt this video will get. There's another guy that I talk to on the regular, and I doubt he will watch. Well, he won't watch the whole video, I guarantee. So anyway, if you made it this far, congratulations. You're batting 9,000%. And I understand. I'm not linear. That's why I threw it out at the front. Yes, 100% buy the game, have fun. But I look at making YouTube videos as like explaining something to a friend of mine who doesn't play games. Because I don't know who you are. I don't know why you're watching. Did you just buy Baldur's Gate and you've never played an RPG? You don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when I mention Skyrim or Elder Scrolls or Oblivion or the other one I just forgot. Witcher 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know where you are. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're coming from. So I'm trying to explain. This game is fantastic and you should buy it. All right, so the story and setting. Let's move on. The main plot is that a mind flayer invasion has happened, and you have a tadpole parasite in your brain. A lot of other things come into play on top of that. You're in a world called the Forgotten Realms, part of the Dungeons and Dragons editions. These are worlds that have been forgotten. They're not part of the medieval Dark Ages or the caveman Neanderthal days. They're not part of the Ice Age. They don't fit any of that. It's a unique. Honestly, the way I think of it is, it's an alternate universe, or it's a different plane of existence. Clearly, they're on Earth, but not my Earth. So, anyway, there are some key locations within the Forgotten Realms, which is kind of a group of continents somewhere in the middle of an Earth that never existed, or maybe exists in a parallel universe, or whatever. You just have to be able to go with the flow, dude. You have to suspend your disbelief. You can't argue with fantasy and compare it to reality, right? You just have to let reality go and dive into the fantasy and enjoy the splendor that is this game. I'm going to show you some more screenshots that you're going to be going, yeah, cool. Well, maybe that's going to be a couple of videos in future videos. But so key locations is the Underdark. Yeah, that's more or less Act 1. And then Moonrise Towers is Act 2. Now, the Underdark, you have areas above ground and underground that are interconnected, and you have to do things in there. It has a point of no return. When you're exploring the Underdark, you might hit an opportunity to go to Moonrise Towers, but if you haven't finished everything in the Underdark, turn back. Turn back and go do it. But I didn't do that. I just said, you know what? I'm going to play this again. And in my next playthrough, I'm going to cover everything in the Underdark. I left side missions behind. And I jumped forward into Moonrise Towers. Dude, I want to see this thing through to the end. So then in Moonrise Towers, I did the same thing. There were unresolved side missions, but I left them behind. And now I'm in Act 3. I'm in Baldur's Gate. I'm in the city of Baldur. I've gone through the gate, or whatever. Act 1, 2, and 3 take place in these key locations. And then major factions, these are different groups that occur. You're going to have a battle with, there are characters who will come into your life who are from the Absolute Cult, the Harpers, the Gith Yankees, and the Druids. And you have to work with, or work against, or talk to, and communicate, and share things, and trade with all of those different things. Oh boy, sorry. Just had a little sneezing fit. It comes out of nowhere. I don't know. Hope I caught it in time to cut it off and you didn't have to hear that. Now I got a runny nose. Sorry. All right, I hope you didn't have to hear that. I did catch it in time. Blew my nose. It happens. I don't do video editing. I hate video editing. I do it as needed, if desperately needed, but man, just live with this. It's like you and I were talking. We're real life friends. I'm telling you about a game. You're very interested. You want to know more. And you've been listening to me for 20 minutes already. So, oh my gosh, 43 minutes. Are you kidding me? Wow. Well, let's get on with it. Key locations, major factions. And now we're talking about the non-player characters. You have companions in the game, which is typically you start off with Asterion, Shadowheart, and Lizelle. But then there are tons and tons of villains. There are also non-player characters that you can recruit and bring into your group and tell Asterion or Lizelle, go back to camp, I'll see you later. So, getting down to the bottom is characters. You have the playable origin characters, which is going to be yourself, Asterion, Shadowheart, Lizelle. And and those are also your companions. They all have a backstory. They all have personalities. They all have their own individual, selfish quests. And then amongst the antagonists, there's a dude named Ketheric Thorn, Orin, and Gortash. Not nice people. You don't want to hang with them. And then there's supporting non-player characters like Volo, Halsin, Raphael that keep showing up and keep poking and poking. Oh, great game, dude, I'm telling you. So anyway, back to the WoW. This game is pretty. And the armor and the weapons and the wow. We've already talked about the whole thing on the left-hand column. We're going to blast through this. Classes and abilities, right? You could be a fighter, a wizard, a rogue, a cleric. We talk about that, or there's a gentleman linked at the end of this video with links in the comment section pinned below who goes through most of that, and I will not bore you with. Because I found it incredibly boring, and I just said, all right, well, pick this, and let's go. Okay. So I need to change my hair color, and need to put my nose on, need to put my ears on, and make my character funky looking, and threw some freckles on there. I don't want tattoos and all that crap. So I don't want horns. You can be that person, or you can be that character, I should say. They're not persons, are they? They're not human. They're different. They're not aliens from outer space, but they're different species that live on Earth and have a humanoid bipod form. So, what a trip, dude. This game's phenomenal. I'm telling you. All right, so the core classes, subclasses, spells, and abilities, different things. That's where you distribute your points and some of the things that are stronger with some of the classes and subclasses. And, multi-classing options, I think what they're referring to there, because this outline was generated by AI, multi-classing options mean that your character can, you can stack the deck, I think, in your points distribution, so that your character has specific strengths in more than one class, or this means that you should probably build your companions, your group, your quest party, the other 3 people. You should have one person who is super strong, badass fighter. You should have one person who has magic. You should have one person who does healing and spells. And I don't know what the 4th person would do specifically, but as far as I understand, that's how, like, I never played World of Warcraft beyond the very first version, which was like rudimentary compared to what became WoW. The big, massive multiplayer massive multiplayer online game, whatever. And even in Elder Scrolls, I don't understand the system there, but I've slowly begun to absorb that when you go on if you join a raiding party, they want to bring a tank, the guy who's just going to stand in the middle and fight, and everybody's going to be pounding on the tank because he's pounding on everybody else. Then you want to have a person standing off to the side who's casting spells and throwing magic and harming people. Then you want to have a healer who's constantly throwing magic at the tank. We're all on the same team, right? There's somebody casting spells and throwing magic and lightning bolts and stuff at a distance. And the tank is in there swinging a sword or an axe or whatever. And then a healer is off in the side distant, just jamming, casting magic spells to re-heal the tank who's fighting all the enemies who are attacking him. And that's how you blow. The 4th person eludes me. I can't remember what that is. But anyway, that's what so much of this game is about, is those classes and being able to switch between your characters and giving some of them strengths, giving some of them specific key weapons. So if you want a close-up attack or you want a range attack, I gave all of my characters a bow, and I like shooting the bow and arrow from a distance rather than having to run up there and slay them with a sword, but the sword's sometimes quicker. Anyway, here's the video that I'm talking about where the guy breezes through all of the different character options, right? If you look up here in the top left, origin. Well, he's created a custom character for his origin. But otherwise, that would say something like, yeah, I guess, here you go. Origin characters. You could play as Asterion, maybe? Maybe you can play as Lizelle, maybe you can play as Gale, or Shadowheart, or the Dark Urge, or Karlach, or Will. I'm not sure. I haven't done that yet, but if so, I'm going to do all of those things. But I created a custom just like he's got a custom character going. His character's race is an elf, right? His custom character's origin. Oh, maybe I don't know. He's creating a custom character and maybe ignoring the origin characters. He does mention the Dark Urge in the video, I seem to recall. Anyway, this character that he has created is race is an elf. His subrace is a high elf. Then a high elf cantrip. I don't know what that's about. The class is barbarian. His background is an alkalite, and his abilities are 27 of 27. Okay, so you don't have 100 points to distribute, but he's got 27, and over here then you see that this guy distributed, that's more than 27 points, bro. Abilities. Well, abilities and, these different points distribution are different than abilities. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing in this game. I'm just blundering through it, and eventually I will understand it and have probably even more fun fooling around and finding out. But here you can see strength, dexterity, confidence, intuition, wisdom, and I don't know what cha means. But anyway, watch this video. I'll link it down below in the comments. Leave me a like, leave a positive comment, subscribe to the channel. I do all kinds of different videos. I'll be playing something like Mafia or Yakuza again soon. Or I'll be playing Counter-Strike, or I'll be racing. Well, not really, because I've started a new racing channel. Check out GameBrain.media's website for links to all of my different genre-specific racing, dirt bikes, street bikes, cars, and off-road channels. Because that's my vibe. All right, so now let's talk about the next section, which is the green part, quests and side content. You have the main quest, and you have to defeat the Absolute, which is like killing God. But, you know, this God might not be a good guy God. Companion quests exist, and those are Shadowheart's particular selfish pursuit, Asterion's vampire past. Then there's a ton of side quests that you do out of the goodness of your heart. If you're playing an honor character, if you're playing a thief and a murderer and a scallion, rapscallion, then, adios, bro. I'm going to have a tough time trying to play this game and be bad and be sneaky and be a thief and just kill everybody ruthlessly. I don't know if in this gaming world that puts a price on your head, and if, a reward. And if you become a wanted man, and all the guards will chase you down, and it might be you against 10 of them. I don't know. I haven't been there yet. But see what I mean? The game has 1,000 possibilities. Yes, you're still always going to have the main quest line. Your job in life, your goal in life, is to defeat the Absolute. Because really, the Absolute is like a bad god. It's not Satan or a demon, although Raphael is a devil. The devil. But he's not the Absolute. God, the game's so weird. Highly recommend it. 1,000%. Oh, wait, 1,000%? Yeah, fuck it. Let's just go with 1,000%. 100% is cliche. All right, so side quests, I already said. There's things going on there. Optional areas that you can explore as Grimforge and Kresh-Yelek. We haven't been to those. Actually, I've been to the Grimforge. So then we get into game mechanics. Rolling the dice kind of sucks. WeMod, the cheat system that I mentioned before, allows you to choose that every dice you roll is a winner. Okay, so that's cheating, but I'm cool with that because it's a huge game, dude. I've got 38 hours into it, and I'm only in the middle of Act 3, or I'm only at the first 10% of Act 3. Act 3 is a trip. You have a wild, wild circus to attend, and you got some murders to be a detective. So it turns just such a weird twist, man. So many weird twists, which is what keeps it interesting and why I give it 1,000%. All right, so environmental interactions. Yeah, okay. So you can push enemies and set traps. I never explored that. Um, Above that, when you're at camp, you can choose a long rest, which will refill health and stuff to your characters. You can change characters when you're at camp. You can tell Lizelle to, hey, stay at camp, and then you go get the other broad that you picked up in the last mission. You tell her to join your party, and she's like, sure thing. So, yeah, lots and lots and lots. There's no way anybody can tell you, here's how to play the game. Follow me and do exactly what I do. No, don't do that. Never do that. Jump in, fool around, find out, make stuff, make your own character, roll your own dice, do your own thing. Use cheats if you want. Don't use cheats if you don't want. Learn how to use spells. Cast spells and use potions and drink. And I just figured out how to frickin' run find the crafting area. I had no idea, but it's right there in your inventory. You click inventory at the top of the screen. There's like three little dots. Well, three little icons. I only go to the inventory to look at what am I carrying around. But boom, there it is. Right there, right in my face the whole freaking time is the ability to craft things, potions, spell. Well, then I guess I don't know what the third thing's called. Not necromancy. I don't know, magic. You can make spells by having specific books or knowing specific incantations, or I don't know, dude. I've never explored those areas of role playing games. I've never read a book in Skyrim, Witcher, Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, and I think those are the primary role playing games I've ever played. So finally, we're getting into the replayability factor. Yeah, I've already touched on that a number of times. But ultimately, the game has multiple endings depending on how you play the game. If you play Mr. Honor, good guy, tidy whities, you're going to have a different ending than when I play. And I'm freeballing. I'm rolling through the world, killing everybody and stealing everything. Not giving a rat's ass to rescue anybody, help anybody, and screw those little children who keep begging for my help and find my mommy. So I can see how that ending would be very different, and maybe the absolute then, if I'm a horrible, horrible demon or person or character or Githyanki or elf or whatever, there's so many varieties of bodies that you can inhabit as you play this game. It's just got endless replayability. I mean, this is a masterpiece of gaming. I swear, this is in my top 5 or top 10, easily top 10, and potentially top 5 games of all time. Now, there's more games coming that could push it out of that ranking, but I haven't played them yet. So replayability, absolutely 100%, 1,000%. Multiple endings are going to be, well, I expect they could be. I don't want to know. I guess Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 are considered role-playing games, right? I had to go walk around, talk to non-player characters, have conversations, lots of long cutscenes, and my choices changed the end of the game. I played as a good guy, well, a villain with honor, and I haven't made a playthrough being an absolute thief and murderer. So I don't know, but I've read, accidentally found spoilers about Red Dead Redemption, that there are 3 basic endings. Even with all the variables throughout the game, you can play basically good guy, middle of the road, or absolute bad guy. So there's 3 basic endings. I don't know how many endings this game might have, but given the insane number of options and quests and stuff, I would imagine there's more than 3 endings possible. Might be wrong, but they're talking about different play styles: good versus evil, stealth versus combat. And it says modding support. I'm curious what's going to come from the community, if they really are, if they really have an open environment. I did see in the menu that you can look at mods. There's some mods that give you extra money if you're broke, just to help you along the path and stuff. But anyway, so the game does support mods. I look forward to playing this again over the next 10 years. I'm guessing that, okay, this is my first playthrough, and I guarantee that I will play this again. I will play this game again at least twice in the next 10 years. Okay? And I already mentioned this guy. Go and look at How to Stop Analyzing, Start Enjoying the Game. I just gave you a bunch of, not really analysis, just like, dude, you're in for a wild ride, and you are 1000% going to enjoy it. I'll put a link to him, link it in the comments if I can. I already talked about withers, even though I wasn't going to talk about withers earlier. I ended up dropping the withers thing. There's a guy in the game who lets you change almost everything. Realistically, though, you cannot change your origin character, you can't change your race, and you can't change your sub-race. And you'll see those listed up here in the top left-hand corner. But the things circled, well, squared, in the purple octagon or shape that I made, you can change your class, you can change your cantrips, your spells, your background acolyte, and your abilities, and your preparing of spells. I don't know if maybe if you add more points to, oh, there it is. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. These things here are represented over here. STR, Dex, Con, Inst, Wis, and Cha are these things over here. And you can adjust those. Add up, add down. He tells you never use an odd number. So watch his video. He talks about points distribution. If you're going to play the game hardcore, as intended, with no cheats and no mods, then this is the video for you. It at least tells you just start the game. And if you don't like it, in the future you can change certain aspects. Or if you're 20 hours into the game, you might just want to ditch it and say, I'm starting over. Now that I understand the world. And now if you're a D&D guy and you've played paper game, you're probably way ahead of me in figuring out, and you'd start the game with a character you want to keep. But I was never that guy. So here's something in the game that is a little video I made. In your camp, you can go to the magic mirror. And when you enter the magic mirror, you get to change your face. Now, my character has a disease, which I volunteered for. But, yeah, you can change your face, you can change your freckles, you can change your skin color, you can change your hair. Well, right now we're talking about, you can change your name. General things you can change. You can change your body art and your tattoos, if you chose those. You can change your eyes. They're not showing much there. That's just cosmetic, makeup. I'm a female character, so it's showing me different stuff than a dude would probably get. And then same thing with the hairstyles. I don't know, maybe those hairstyles, you put those on a dude. I didn't try it, didn't care. But just wanted to show you that you can change your appearance with the magic mirror. But what I showed you in the previous slide was about, well, now, let me go here. Yeah. Was about changing more than your appearance. This is about changing your character's strengths and weaknesses and distributing points and stuff like that. And that's done by using the character Withers, who appears at your camp. He sometimes will appear in Act 1. If you find him, talk to him, and befriend him, and do him a favor, or whatever the hell the conditions were. If you don't find him in Act 1, he does reappear, and you have the opportunity to do it again with Withers. You meet Withers in Act 2. So, moving on. I want to remind you, check out Dungeons & Dragons just so you have some concept of the history of the game, then check out this guy's video if you're interested in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 and how they are not necessarily a foundation for Baldur's Gate 3. Or maybe they're a foundation, but it's 125 years later and everything from the past has been plowed down and rebuilt. Here's like, I bought the game Mafia. Well, Mafia 3 was announced. So Mafia 1 and 2 went on sale. I bought them. They've been sitting in my Steam library for years. But I have Mafia 1 and 2 Classic. Then they announced that they were going to remaster Mafia 1 and 2 and release a brand new game, Mafia 4. Except they didn't call it Mafia 4 because why would you ever make game names make sense? So it's pretty obvious what came first. Mafia 1, 2, 3. Why didn't they just call it Mafia 4, dude? They called it the Old Country. Actually, it's not really Mafia 4 then, right? Because it's Mafia 4. It's later in the series. But it precedes the entire series. So they could have called it Mafia 0. And then you'd know that here's where everything started. But anyway, when new games come out, I like to look at the old games. I played Witcher 3. I went backwards and I played Witcher 2. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Incredibly more straightforward, shorter game, easy to follow, great story, and makes everything make sense. In Witcher 3, it's such an epic adventure. There's so many side quests. I got lost. Like, I quit playing for a month and I came back and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? Oh yeah, Ciri. I gotta find Ciri. And then, oh shit, who's this Red Baron guy? Yeah, just, you know what I mean? I do enjoy going through the history of... I played Witcher 1. Witcher 1's game mechanics are incredibly different, but I found it really, really good, and I understand why that game had reasonable enough attention and sales that they made Witcher 2. They improved so much from Witcher 1 to Witcher 2, and then frickin' Witcher 2 and Witcher 3 are night and day. Witcher 3 is also a masterpiece. That goes up in my top 5 easily for now. Probably in the top 10 eventually, but I think Grand Theft Auto 5 might be a game up there in the top 5. But Skyrim, Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Online, those are probably in just the top 10 because I really don't know. It's too hard. They're just they're among my absolute favorite games of all time. So what I'm telling you is Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, it's nice to have this background in your hip pocket, or having seen it. It's only an 8-minute video. It's worth looking at and listening to. This guy also covers it differently, but it's a short 5-minute video. Do you need to play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 in order to enjoy Baldur's Gate 3? Well, I already told you. The long story is no. Or the short story is no. But the long story is quite interesting because you will recognize that the absolute has existed throughout time. But not until now. In Baldur's Gate 3, we're about to kill the absolute. That's our goal. So, finally, if you don't want to watch, or if you don't want to play the game, you've already blown an hour and 10 minutes watching this video, which I doubt anybody's still with me. But Baldur's Gate 3 story recap in 21 minutes. I have not watched this. I don't want the spoilers. But now that I'm in Act 3, I did go back and watch Act 1 and Act 2. Now this guy took a different path. He had different experiences throughout his Act 1 and Act 2. He tries to give you that 10,000 foot umbrella airplane view, but it's a tough game, dude. It's a big ass game. It's an awesome game. 100% that I've already changed to 1,000% buy this game. And do not skip this video by another creator, Italian Spartacus. If you buy this game, start here. Watch that guy's video. It's awesome. And if you stuck around with me long enough to, get here, I want to give you a couple of tips as a player, and that is to click and hold your left mouse. The player and group will follow the mouse pointer. It's like you You're dragging a piece of cheese and the mice are following you. Or you click a spot and just click it and not click and hold and click and move and click and swerve, right, left, forward, backward. You can move your mouse around and those little mice are going to follow your cheese everywhere. But if you click a spot, the group will walk to that spot. So you can click, 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 and walk incrementally. The mouse wheel, rolling the mouse wheel zooms your camera in and out. Mouse wheel, click and hold, rotates the camera. You're going to be using that a lot because, if a roof is in your way, you need to rotate the camera. You need to zoom in to get inside the room or inside the cave where your characters are. The O key is a trip. Pressing the letter O gives you an overhead view of the camera. Pressing it again brings you back to the 3D isometric view, the diagonal, weird top-down. And sometimes the O key makes navigation much, much easier when you're trying to find your way out of some place that you've already been, but the mini-map ain't cutting it, or you need your visual on the big screen to match the mini-map, and it's a lot easier to do that with the overhead camera, the O key. All right, so then the Q and E key, you're using WSAD to move the camera around, and you're also using your mouse to move your characters around. But the Q and E rotate the camera left and right. Also, the home and delete keys do different things. Fool around, find out, press them all. Page up, page down gives you a quick zoom in or a quick zoom out, or just roll that mouse button to zoom in. Roll it back, zoom out. And then the left Alt key on a keyboard, PC player, is going to show you text labels for items that exist where you are, right? You enter a room, just press left Alt, and you'll see, these, here's some books. Here's a letter. Here's a trunk. But, it doesn't really always light up everything, so you might still need to fool around and find out with touching stuff. Anyway, there's tons more, but I'm just trying to give you a start. Hopefully you will subscribe to my channel, like my videos, share this content, and leave a positive comment. I know it's tough, man. This is a big video, and I've been stalling and delaying a long time, but I've been having so much fun playing games instead of making videos. I tell you, it takes me about 3 times as long to make a video as the video is long. So when I put up a 28-minute video, it took at least an hour to... capturing the video is passive. I'm playing the game and the video gets captured, but then I have to cut that video, which might be an hour long, down into 20 minutes. And then I need to make a thumbnail, write a title, put some links in the comments. I already have my info section filled out. Upload it, which takes forever, but yes, I can be browsing and doing other things, but then you still have to check back and you still have to verify and you have to validate and make sure that everything's in there and everything works, and you spend a lot of time, dude. I'm telling you, 3 times minimum, which is why live streaming on Twitch was great. I would just live stream. I'd spend an hour on Twitch. I'd spend 5 minutes clicking and moving it over to YouTube, because you can just transfer directly from Twitch stream to YouTube and have a video on YouTube. That's why I've been around for 7 years. I started out on Twitch. Hope you look at my backlog. I have tons and tons of really interesting content and a lot of different older games that you might enjoy. Actually, not so much older. They're just, dude, chronologically, the games existed at an earlier time in history. So time only matters in that respect. But the games are bananas good, like Portal, Counter-Strike Source, Call of Duty 1, whatever, dude. Mudrunner, Spintires is a 4th generation older version, right? There was Spintires, then Mudrunner, then Snowrunner, and then Mudrunner Expeditions. So, fool around, find out, check out my library, and keep coming back.